Hello everyone, and for today's video we have a more theoretical approach on typography. So let's see some best practice that will help you improve future layouts. First tip would be to double your header sizes. So whenever possible, make the main header at least two times. You could go higher as 3 times if you wanted. The body text to establish good hierarchy and make the content easy to scan. So here I have a simple example of a body copy that has 18 pixels and the title 36, which is the double. You can make it even larger, but with the double size, you can already establish good hierarchy and have a really scannable content. So let's go to the second one. That would be to skip weights. So the idea behind it is to create more contrast between text styles. So as you can see here, I'm using Inter as my font and I have the body copy in a regular weight. Between regular, I have medium and semi-bold. But if I only put, let's say, medium and doesn't add a lot of that contrast, and that's okay if you want to keep them more or less the same weight for a creative direction approach. But if you want to change the weight to give more prominence to some content, always try to keep a weight in comparison to the other piece of content. So another take from this is to always choose a font that has some variety of weights, picking one that has at least 4 to 5 weight variations. For the third point, we have paragraph and title proximity, reducing the distance between the paragraph and its title to establish visual reconnection. Although this is very simple, it's often overlooked. As you can see here, I have a title and the body text in a distance of 24 pixels. And then I have another header, but now I put the distance between the bottom of my body text and the starting of my second title. I make it much bigger. Remember the rules of proximity and use this wisely in your layout. If you want to know more about this rule, you can find it in Steve Krug's Don't Make Me Think book, which I really recommend you to read. The fourth one is about line length. So the ideal body line length for readability is considered between 45 and 75 characters, including space, which means that your body copy shouldn't be neither too long or too narrow, considering that the eye will keep jumping from one line to another if it's too narrow. And if it's too wide, it would take too long for them to go back to the second line, and then it might be confusing. So a simple trick that I like to do is to highlight in my copy the character number 45 and the character number 75. So all you have to do is to make sure that the character 45 and the 75 are in different line, as you can see here. This is just an average. You can go a bit higher, a bit lower, but stick to this as a reference and don't overlook it. Now we have line height. So as a general rule of thumb, for body text, we should have the line height between 1.5 and 2 times the text size, depending, of course, in the width and length of the content. So for example, if you have a body text of 16 pixels, the line height of 1.5 would be 24. As you can see here, I have my body text of 18 and the line height 28, which is almost 1.5 the font size. Considering the headings, we should aim for 1 to 1.25 for line height. For example, if display text is 60, you can set line height to almost 1.2, which will be 72 pixels. I have this exact example. And there's even another condition that is for all caps, you can go even lower on your line heights. You can go from 0.8 to 1 because all caps letters have a default distance between the top of one line to the bottom of the previous one. So that's line height. Let's go to text alignments. So for language rating from left to right, this should be the default option and most commonly used because it provides clear and consistent starting points for the readers. Every line has the same start point that works as an anchor for your eye, which makes it easier to read. So that's the default. For a good rule of thumb, always go for the left alignment. For center alignment, it's important to keep in mind that it should be used for short and visually impactful content, such as headings or titles. You should always avoid center alignment long paragraphs above text. Different from what happens with the left alignment, in the center alignment, you have a different anchor points for every line, not only in the end, but also in the start, which make your eyes jump too much from one line to the other. And the more lines you have, the more your eyes have to jump, and this will make reading more tiring and uncomfortable. Keep the center aligned text to the maximum of 4 to 5 lines, no more than this. As far as right alignment goes, of course, it depends from cultural reading patterns, but generally speaking, you should avoid right alignment for large block of text and focusing on specific design purposes such as cap and numbers in tables. So keep that in mind. Every time you design table content, keep your numbers right aligned. A quick note on justified alignment. Simply don't use them. Leave them for printing design because it creates uneven spacing and reverse, which are these awkward gaps in your text. Now let's talk about font pairing and callouts. When combining fonts, you should make sure they complement each other. Select different fonts such as serif and sans serif or script and sans serif. But remember, avoid picking fonts that are too similar because they will look the same with some errors, which is not the case, but it is how we will be read. And you also should avoid fonts that are too far apart. They don't interact well with each other. It will make a layout look like a Frankenstein. A good example of font pairing usage is to create a callout. A callout is basically a highlighted piece of text. As you can see, I'm using Inter as my default font, but for the callout, I use a serif font to contrast with the Inter that is called Georgia, and I'm putting in a bold and italic to make it even more contrastant. But as you can see here, they still look somewhat in the same realm, and they don't look, they are from entirely different worlds. Now, a good tip that I want to share with you is that to keep your page with the maximum of 4 font sizes. As a general recommendation, it's best to limit it to 3 or 4, including, of course, special cases like captions and footnotes. This rule will make your layout more tied together and more consistent, and you can explore other properties to create more contrast, such as color, weight, and capitalization. So I have the title, which is 36 pixel bold. I have the body text, 18 pixels, regular. I have my callout, as I showed you before, the Georgia, 32 pixels. And here I have a subheader that I have the same size as my body, but as you can see here, in a bold and also all caps to create this contrast, I kept my layout with not that many font sizes. And the reason behind it is to avoid having too many font sizes and plenty of them being too similar, which make your layout a bit noisy. And last but not least is the smaller the regular. The more you reduce the size of your text, the more conservative you have to be about changing the weights. When you're using small fonts, it's important to select font weights that maintain readability and legibility. Lighter font weights might become too thin and difficult to read at small sizes, but it also happens with heavier weights that can appear too bold and overwhelm the text. Here I have the example with the same font size but different weight, and the regular option is the one that works better. So the smaller your font size, you should avoid extremes, which means not very bold, either very thin font weights. So you should strive for the middle. Let's make a quick recap. So first, double your header size. Main header should be at least 2 times the body text. Skip weight, so make different styles at least 2 levels of weight difference. Paragraph and title proximity. Your body text should always be closer to its own header than the next line length. Keep your body text with a length of 45 to 75 characters long, including spaces. As far as body text goes, make the line height 1.5 to 2 times the font size, and for headers, make it 1 to 1.2 times. Text alignment, prefer left alignment and only center small text with the top maximum of 4 to 5 lines. Font pairing and callouts. Don't choose fonts that are either too different or too similar. Strive for good contrast. 4 font sizes. Keep your pages with the maximum of 4 font sizes and use weight, color, and capitalization as alternatives to create contrast. And last but not least, the smaller the regular. Avoid extreme weights for small font sizes, neither too thin or too thick. Okay, so that's it for this video. I really hope these tips helps and make you build better layouts. If you have any questions, put in the comments down below. If I missed anything you want to share with this community, please also put in the comments. If you like the video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and share with the designer folks. And I see you in the next lesson. Thank you and bye-bye.